Welcome back to the Food Fitness Flora YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. I'm thinking of changing the name to Flora Does Crazy Stuff and expects you to watch it, but it's not quite as catchy at the moment, so I'm still working on that one. So you guys unanimously voted pretty much for me to vlog the lead up to my big fight, which is tomorrow. So today I've got work this morning, then I'm gonna get my braids done this afternoon because usually I have little flyaway hairs in my face when I'm boxing. It's not ideal. I'm sorry if I look like I've had about 2 hours sleep. That's because I've had about 2 hours sleep. I've not been sleeping well at all the lead up to this fight. I think there's too much adrenaline, too many nerves. I'll get a good night's sleep tonight. But anyway, I'm just off to work now. I will pick up the camera again after work and take you to my braiding appointment. See you then. So we just blow dried my hair and we have decided to go with 1 braid down the middle, 2 braids down the side. I saw someone do a boxing shoot the other day with that kind of hairstyle. I thought it looked really cool. She looked really badass, so I'm hoping I can get some of those vibes with the hairstyle. So we'll see how it goes. So I just got it done. Hang on. How do I look?
You look like you're gonna kick someone's ass.
Yo, so it is Saturday morning, day of the match. I am bloody nervous. I've just eaten my breakfast, which was protein shake and a bowl of cereal. I am shooting around lunchtime today, not guns, photography stuff, and just want to keep my mind like off the fight. So I'm going to be outside just like wandering around Holland Park. It's a glorious day, it's so nice, so I'm going to be excited to be outside. I've got to be at the place which is in Battersea by 5 PM this evening, and then my fight isn't until around midway through the night, so probably not until like 8:30, maybe 8:45, which is so late. I've never worked out that late, not on purpose at least, usually running home after all the buses have stopped. I asked you guys to ask me some of the questions about boxing in general and also about how, you know, I got into this match and how I got into my training, etc, etc. So I'm gonna answer some of the questions now. So a lot of you asked how long I've been training for and how I got into boxing. It started off with boxing classes. So there are boxing classes in so many other gyms now. They're becoming a lot more popular. So if you can find a boxing class, I would definitely recommend going along to that. And that's a great way of starting. It's not too expensive and kind of gives you a little bit of insight into, you know, whether you'd like it or not. I then, after that, got into something called Power of Boxing, which is also another boxing class. It's a group session, but it's in a boxing gym and it's super like intense. And after that I decided I really liked it, I really enjoyed pad work, and then I got a coach who's Rick. He's been my coach for the last 1.5 years, which is about how long I've been training for. Well, not training for this fight, but like boxing for in general, one-on-one. And that meant that my boxing improved really quickly after that, and I was just doing pad work. So you have paddles, you have pads, and then you have sparring. Paddles are like very light little well, paddles that you punch. They are much easier to punch than pads. Pads are a lot thicker. You put them on your hands. Those are the classic ones that you'll see. They're like slightly curved and that's what you punch. And then sparring is when you actually fight another person. You're actually going for their body rather than for pads or paddles. So I've been doing the pads and paddles for the last 1.5 years, and I only started training for this fight maybe like 2 months ago. So it's not been that long, and it's a totally different experience to doing pad work. One other person asked, have you found it more difficult than you expected? And I can't say enough how much more difficult it is than I expected. It is so hard to, both mentally and physically, to be fighting another person. There's something, it's a lot heavier. So with paddles and pads, you've only got the force of the arms, like the other person's arms behind, like counteracting your punch. Whereas when you're punching someone's body or face, you've got their entire body weight behind it. So it's actually a lot more effort when you're actually fighting them. And then obviously you have to move out the way of their shots coming back to you. So in terms of physically, it's way more difficult. And then in terms of mental stuff, it's a lot more difficult because punching another human being is actually quite difficult if you're not used to doing it. We spend our life, you know, trying not to hurt other people, so to then have to just throw that aside and to be actually going for their face is really difficult, especially if you know them. The girl that I'm fighting tonight, I do know, and we are good friends, so that's also going to be another factor in the fight tonight that's going to make it a little bit more difficult than it otherwise would be. Okay, next question. How are nerves for the match? Yeah, terrible. I'm very anxious, and I've not been sleeping all week. Though last night I slept 10.5 hours, so I'm very, very happy about that. I went to sleep at 9:30 and woke up just past 8, which was great. I am nervous, but I'm hoping that once I'm in there, it will sort of just settle down and I'll be able to focus on what I need to do. Will you continue boxing after the fight? Yeah, for sure. It's amazing fitness. I absolutely love it. The mental aspect of it, I love. One thing I probably won't be doing is sparring. I know too much about brain damage to want to continue being hit in the head for too long. Being hit in the head is never positive, it's never good for you. And so I won't want to be doing too much of that in the future. I like my brain too much, so going to be protecting that. But in terms of boxing in general, absolutely, I love boxing and I never want to stop. Do you feel super aggressive when boxing or more focused on tactics? Mostly focused on tactics. I'm not that aggressive a person unless someone makes me really angry, which is usually just men in the street, wolf whistling and stuff. And that makes me quite aggressive. But in boxing in general, usually you know that it's not a life or death situation. And therefore it's a little bit harder to become like aggressive, but then again, when someone punches you in the face, it's really annoying, and that is a good time to become aggressive, and I do. Is it 3 times 3-minute rounds? No, it's 3 times 2-minute rounds. Thankfully they've got a lot of people to fit in. What are you most nervous about? That's actually a good question. I'm not most nervous about losing. I'm most nervous about breaking my nose again, and also not fighting how I've been trained to fight. I don't want it to become scrappy. I don't want it to be sort of, you know, just throwing hands at each other. I want it to actually be the way that I've trained to fight. I want it to be, I want it to do my training justice, basically. So whether I win or whether I lose, I want to be able to fight as well as I can. Make Rick proud. Have you ever got concussion from boxing? No, not that I know of. Might have forgotten, who knows. I've got concussion from a variety of other things though, which is another reason that I don't want to continue sparring afterwards. I've got concussion from, my worst concussion was hitting my head on a fridge, which, so embarrassing. That really puts, you know, a baseline level for all concussions, really. I stood up too quickly under one of those like counter surface fridges, so I basically hit the back of my head on the top of the fridge and forgot about it for about 48 hours. Only remembered that I'd done it 2 days later when I like woke up. Like I don't really remember anything that happened then. That was really scary. Other times, skiing, which is a classic, and horse riding, I think it was. And so not all of these are like definitely concussions, but they're to the point where I've hit the back of my head, you know, the really sensitive bit there, and had to go to the doctor, and you know, they do that like eye testing and all that kind of stuff. The last one was tipping back on my chair. School children do not do this. They're right when they say that it's dangerous. Tipped back on my chair, fell backwards and hit the back of my head on a door handle that was behind me, and it really hurt, really hurt, and I definitely got concussed then. So that was great fun. How do you get into the zone for the fight? I have no idea. I guess I'll find out this evening. I've never done it before, so it's going to be a new experience. Are you worried about damage to your face? Yes, I am worried about damage to my face. It's a delicate thing in your face. I got punched in the eye the other day and it really hurt. Got punched in the nose a lot. My nose is still bruised from last weekend. And I don't want to do any permanent damage. I don't mind a bit of bruising here and there, but it does really hurt, and yeah, makes you scared of fighting, and I don't want to be scared of fighting. I heard you talk a lot about it, but I don't know why / how it came about, etc. P.S. Good luck. Thanks. Yeah, that's a good question. How did I get into it? Not boxing in general, but this fight specifically. Someone recommended me to the Rumble, which is the people who are organising it. And they got in contact and were like, do you want to do this? And I said, absolutely not. And then they told me, you know, it's for charity. People are generally of a similar standard to you, either having never done a fight before, maybe one fight, some of them hadn't even really done very much boxing. So I was like, yeah, okay, at that sort of standard I'd be willing to do it. I didn't want to do myself a disservice. I didn't want to go against people who were so much better than me. But when I realised that they're probably similar standard and that it's for charity, then I said yes. If it wasn't for charity, I don't think I'd be doing it at all. Is it being streamed anywhere? I don't think so, sorry guys. So yeah, a lot of you are asking about how you get into it. Well, like I said before, like I would recommend group boxing classes. You don't have to have money for a trainer. If you decide that you really like it, you can decide to get a trainer rather than, you know, get a gym membership or something like that. But I would just recommend group classes at the beginning. That's how I got into it, and that's how I decided that I liked it. Training in London, it's maybe like 75 quid for a session, which is expensive, I do get that. So that's one-on-one training with a coach. But having said that, you can do that like once, maybe twice, if you really enjoy it, if you want to prioritize that. And then you can kind of do a lot of it by yourself, a lot of your training by yourself. It is amazing fitness, and once you kind of know what you're doing, you can just, if you find a bag at your gym, then you can just use that. Any tips on how not to get hit in the boxing match? I mean, tell me, mate, like seriously, I'd love to know. Why boxing? I like it. Are you gonna wear a helmet? Yes, of course. Like I said, very delicate brain, so I will be wearing a helmet. What ring music will you use? I've got LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. I just googled it. Apparently that's making quite a big statement, so not sure how I feel about that, but you know, intimidate the opponent, that's the goal. How you train / what to eat for fuel. I'd recommend food for fuel. And in terms of training, just train as and when you can. Don't overdo it. 1 or 2 rest days a week. That's kind of what I do. For me, I was balancing it around being outside, being outside of London at the weekends, working during the week. I was just doing it in the evenings, as and when I could. 2 or 3 sessions a week, up to 4 at the very end. But that's about it. Who are you fighting? It's a girl called Sophie Grace Holmes. She's badass. I've known her. I've worked with her before. I've known her for a few years, I guess. She is also an Instagrammer, and she is so cool. So either way, if either of us win, I'm happy. One of us is gonna win, pretty sure. But you can get draws. She's been training really hard for this. I've been boxing for a little bit longer than her, but we've both been sparring for the same amount of time. She's a personal trainer. She's also with the same agency as me. And yeah, that's who she is. How are you planning to celebrate your win? I love the optimism. I don't know, I'm gonna drink, I think. I just need the like chilling out afterwards, I think. Quite hyped up and have been for the last 2 weeks or so I will just need a little bit of a break. That's all we have time for at the moment. I will be taking you to the match later. I'm sorry this is gonna be a super long video, it's already 17 minutes, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that and I hope it was a little insightful. I'm going to take you along to the match, show you as much as I can behind the scenes. I'm going to see if anyone can film the actual fight itself, but no promises, so I do apologise if not. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in a bit. We are just on our way to the match. Fiona's with me. We don't actually know if he's going to be allowed in because we're like an hour earlier than he's supposed to be there. How are you feeling about me having to fight another lady? I'm
slightly nervous, but
probably not as nervous as me.
Utmost confidence in you.
There you go, he has confidence in me. I am really nervous, which is why I'm talking so much. Yeah, so see you when I'm there. So I've just arrived at Battersea Evolution, done my medical, found out what time my fight is. I'm fighting at 9:45. Bearing in mind that I was in bed by 9:30 last night, actually asleep by 9:30 last night. This is what it looks like. It's gonna be awesome. 3,500 people here. It's gonna be so good. I'm so psyched, but I might as well have a nap before I do mine. It's only like 6 o'clock.
finished the boxing, heading home. How do you feel?
Exhausted, absolutely delighted. It went so well. I kind of stuck to game plan, which is really nice. I'm just so happy that it went how it went, and I got my flowers.
So when are you going to box again?
Never. No, I'm going to keep training, but I'm never doing another white collar. Like, I think, as I said before, I think that's me done, absolutely done for fights. I want to keep my brain cells.
Bowing out victorious.
Yeah, exactly. Leave
Keep
on a high.
your 100% win record.
Yeah, exactly. We're headed home. It is, what time is it? Nearly 1 o'clock. My bedtime's usually 10 p.m. So yeah, pretty tired. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.